All right, joined with a special guest directly from the mountains, one of the best heads of hair in the music game,
Hey.
all the way from West Virginia, Big Timber, Adam Yokum. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Batcave podcast today.
My God, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Of
That was
course.
an awesome introduction.
Thanks. So, I want to change up how I start these, and the first question I want to ask you is, when you were a kid, what was the first thing you wanted to be when you were going to grow up?
It was always music. Yeah,
From day one?
from day one. I can remember sitting in the back seat of my mom's car because I wasn't old enough to sit in the front seat, and she would have the radio running, and I can remember leaning up on the seat and singing into her ear and telling her that I was going to be a rock star one day.
Do you remember what was playing on the radio or who you were listening to?
Yeah, Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston.
There you go.
That was it.
That was it.
That was my shit. Yeah. I mean, that whole, era of music, I would say that was, 2006 to 2010 is what I'm remembering. You know what I mean? I don't know what else was in there, but that era of music was definitely...
It's a special time.
Yeah.
So how did you go from just listening and knowing that you wanted to be making music to actually starting that journey of becoming a music artist?
Well, I wrote my first song, I want to say, when I was 13 or 14. I got really into Eminem early on, as a lot of white rappers have that story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty common story there, but got into Eminem, and I think I was just, something about it really connected with me. I think I had a lot of things going on as a kid in my home life that weren't ideal. My parents got divorced twice, and I kind of, saw a lot of that happening. So I think rap music in general was just really connecting with me at the time, and I had already been interested in music long before that because like I said, it was just always an interest, and my dad was in a bluegrass band, so I was kind of picking up guitar and things like that. And I guess that's what made me actually do it and write a song for the first time, was that I was just so moved by it, and I already had a love for music that it was this is what I'm going to try to do. And then I think the songs early on, if I look back now, knowing what I know about making music, they were pretty bad. They were just bad songs. But I think that people around me, my mom or my siblings or some friends that I had at the time, were gassing me up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're this shit is so good. So I think that gave me the confidence to just be okay, I can be good at this and I can do this. First song I ever recorded, my mom drove me to a recording studio that was 2 hours away, because we live in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's not recording studios there. She just dropped me off there, and I recorded a couple songs. So yeah, they were all really bad songs starting off, but I don't know, I just really enjoyed it as a fan of music, and I think I had a delusional belief that I was really good at it. I can remember being 15 and being I'm a fucking goat.
This is good. This is gonna go.
Real. I'm gonna blow up soon.
Dude, this is time. It's
And
my
when
time.
I listen back now, I'm you're not gonna blow up.
This is
soon.
not it. This is not it yet.
Yeah. So I guess that's how I went from just being a fan of it to actually just making it. Yeah.
Yeah. What led to you kind of switching lanes with the music career? Because that is hard to do, especially when you are in a position where people in your life are supporting and saying that it's good, but you still felt called to kind of change what you were making.
Mm-hmm. That came little by little for a long time, and then there were a few specific moments that triggered a big change in my direction and all of it, and I guess I'll touch on them briefly. But I was a big fan of Russ, late high school and early college, and he's someone who can rap and then also sing. So I think just also as a fan of music and picking stuff up from artists that I was getting more interested in a melodic bag of just singing, mixing it with hip hop, mixing it with rap. Because when I first started, it was just rapping as fast as I can, real lyrical, spiritual miracle type of vibes, you know. And I fell in love early with like the technicality of writing a song. And then I think through listening to like Russ, Dominic Fike, later on Mike, like I found artists that were singing, but they were also bringing like a hip hop vibe into their songs that I really connected with. So I got interested in that lane of music through that. But I had some moments. I had a moment that really triggered a lot of changes in my life musically post college. So I graduated from WVU in 2022, and I moved to LA to just like go, you know, full in on chasing everything. And I can remember like a feeling of I felt like a lot of the things that I was doing at the time, I felt like a fraud, or I felt like it wasn't really me. I felt like I was chasing something so vigorously that at the end of my days of doing that, I didn't feel fulfilled off of it. Like I felt like and I know there's other people who I was like around and I was working with who like that was genuinely their sound. And I don't know, I had a few things happen to me where like, so I'm trying to keep it brief too, because I can just talk about this for 30 minutes. But a buddy of mine who really believed in me, and he was doing well financially at the time. I had this AY logo. It's the only logo I've ever had. He got me a diamond chain made, and it had the logo on it. And I used to like wear this chain around sometimes, and he spent like $11,000 on this chain. He was like, bro, this is just a gift, like you can have it. And I've never really been into jewelry, but at the time and in that scene, I felt like it made me cooler to have that, or I felt like it was like a symbol of like being legit, you know? And when I was in LA, I got robbed at gunpoint for that chain. And a dude was basically like, yeah, you can give me that chain, or we're, flash his gun, he's like, we're gonna take it off you. I'm like, fucking take it, you know what I mean? And that was a big moment of almost like, felt like a spiritual awakening. I know it sounds a little bit corny to say like your life flashes before your eyes and da 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 da, but in that moment, I think that was the first time I was ever actually like, oh shit, I could die like right here. And in that moment, I realized that the things that mattered to me were like throwing football in the yard with my siblings, or going fishing with my dad, or whatever it may be, hanging out with my mom. And I realized all the things that are super important to me were the most distant things from my life that I was living at the time. So even outside of music, I had a big spiritual calling to just kind of return to my roots, find more of who I am, and put that into how I live my life. And I think through the process of doing that, it ultimately reflected in my music being a lot different as well. Yeah. So there were a lot of small moments that triggered my music changing, and a few big moments like that kind of were wake-up calls to a change. Yeah,
a lot of people, especially when they're younger, if their parents go through a divorce, they kind of have a feeling, not against is the wrong word, but they don't feel the importance of the family connection. What do you think is different with you, where you feel like, at least from hearing you talk, seems like that's a high value to you as family? Yeah. And you know,
I mean, I think I just do my best to recognize that my situation, everyone's situation, even though it's unique to them, isn't a blanket statement for how the world is. Just because I saw love go the wrong way, I don't lose faith that it can go the right way, you know? And I think that the world can always be black and white. You can always see things on the positive side, and you can always look at things on the negative side. I think I just choose to live looking at things in a positive way, in a hopeful way. And I try to carry that into my personal life, into my love life, you know, the way I view the world. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
With a cup full.
Yep, with a cup full.
Yeah.
Yep.
You recently dropped one of my favorite songs in the last 6 months. Actually, I was thinking about this before we did the interview. You've dropped 3 songs in the last 6 months that I would put in my top 25 favorite songs that dropped in the last
Wow.
6 months. Water Your Roots, Cup Full, and the newest one you put out with Mike. All three great. Talk a little bit about the collaboration project with Ollie Joseph.
Oh yeah, my dog, Big Hoss. Man, so me and Ollie first connected whenever I was making my Evergreen album, and we really just connected through the music. We didn't have any mutual friends or connections, anything. We just kind of started DMing each other, and we made that song "Fly Away" on my Evergreen album, and I would say we became a lot closer friends when we toured together last summer, when V Wills brought us on tour with them and we were on the road. That was kind of a point where I felt like I went from knowing Ollie to being like, man, that's my dog, you know? What we say before, we said we were tapped in before, but now we're locked in. It was like a locked in moment. And yeah, I don't know. I remember we were out there touring and we were just like, man, this is so fun. We hit it off with each other as friends. Our fans obviously both love both of our music. It felt like a no-brainer of like, dude, let's run up a project.
Yeah.
So we just started diving into it right after tour. I think it was like 2 weeks after tour. I was like, bro, I'm coming to Nashville. I'm going to stay with you. And I stayed at his crib for like a weekend or something, and we knocked out a few of the songs. I think Cup Full got started there. Heavy On, the one we just dropped, got started that same weekend, and a few others. And yeah, since then, dude, it's just, you know, it's been a blast. We've just been cooking up tunes, having a good time. It feels effortless, you know. Sometimes whenever you're making music, which I don't even really do this, but I just know it from past experience. When you're making music with people you don't know that well, it's a weird boundary because music is like a vulnerable, you're like sharing a part of you. And it's an odd thing to share a part of you with someone that you don't know that well. So it's made it really effortless and a really good time to be creating with someone who I consider a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, songs are bangers.
No, and I feel like you can hear that on the music. Like, everyone talks about the difference between making a song with someone in the room versus like over social media or whatever, because you really can, and maybe it is like just the knowing someone better aspect of it, but you can like feel the connection to the song versus someone just like dropping a verse on a song for somebody just sounds not out of place, but you don't have that same cohesiveness throughout the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned your project Evergreen. It was like the first big album you put out that kind of started the ball rolling for everything.
Yep.
What's the difference between creating Evergreen and the project you're working on now?
Yeah, so Water Your Roots is kind of, I'm hoping to share more about this like publicly over the next month and just really dive into it because I feel like I haven't done it enough. But Water Your Roots is sort of a sequel to Evergreen. It's kind of a part two and kind of like a reflection of Evergreen. If you look at the track list, so there's 14 songs on Evergreen. There's 14 songs on Water Your Roots as well. All the features are the same. And kind of what it represents to me, or why I even felt drawn to make the album, was I'm always trying to make music that is true to my current life. And that was what made Evergreen so successful, and what made it so good, I think, was that all I was doing was going through a big era of change in my life, where like who I was growing into somebody new. Like we kind of touched on earlier, I just had a big spiritual calling to shift my energy, and that album was just a reflection of like basically documenting that in music. And so I wanted to have the same approach of this album. And the question was, okay, what is my life like now? What can I honestly write about my life to make an album? And I felt like I went through a lot of changes in my life with Evergreen. And at this point in my life, I'm actually really happy with the person that I've turned into, the views on life that I've adopted and enacted into my life. And I think I'm at a point now where I'm not really looking for any major changes to my life, but I am really passionate about maintaining the changes I have made and keeping up to speed with it, because I feel like it's all something that you can kind of let slip. It's like let's say if you're like, I want to start going to the gym. You can go to the gym for a month straight, but then if you stop after that, it was all for nothing. So I felt like my life was in that state where I grew into something I was really proud of, and now I just want to water the roots of that thing I grew into, and I want to tend to it, and I want to keep my life in a place that I'm really happy with. So that was where the whole concept of water your roots kind of came from, because I was just trying to have an honest look of where am I at in life, and what can I share honestly through that. So that's kind of how the whole concept of the album got sparked up.
Do you feel like it was harder to make the change or maintain the change?
Definitely harder to make the change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely harder to make the change, because there's a whole, it's like, when there's a thing where it's like, I know what I want to do, but I don't know if I can do it. It's like an inertia thing. Like, once you get rolling on something, it's easier to keep rolling on it. But it felt like to make changes in my life was, it's like an identity thing almost, of like, who are you? Like, especially because I'm still a young man, but even then I was a younger man. And it's like the things that you start practicing now are probably what's going to carry into how you are as a 40, 50, 60-year-old, So it wasn't even so much a question of like, who do I want to be now? It's like, who do I want to wake up and be when I'm 50, And the person who I was at the time is not who I wanted to wake up and be in 50. If I wake up 50 and I'm similar to what I am now, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely harder to make the changes in my life. Feel good. Yeah.
No, and it is like it's a weird, like the way life's set up is kind of weird with college and everything, because like you said, when you moved to LA, that was shortly after graduating. And when you go to college, that's like your first time for most people really being on their own, away from family. And I wouldn't say every college, but most colleges, you're not going to be the best version of yourself in college.
Yeah.
And you build all these bad habits as you like go out in the world as yourself for the first time, and then it's almost like you have to figure out as an adult like how to like retract those habits and like create new ways of like who you actually are by yourself as a person.
Yeah. I think a lot of what I'm talking about, like probably thousands of people had the same. It's like you go to college, you do some shit that's like, this doesn't feel like me. Like I'm kind of wilding out right now. And then you graduate college, you get out in the real world, and you're like, maybe I should adjust.
maybe we can't keep going like this.
We can't keep going like this. This is like, I can't wake up and be 50 and still be doing keg stands and shit. So like everything I'm saying, I don't think it's some like revolutionary, like, you know what I mean? I think it's a natural process of a young man turning into an adult, and just trying to honestly share that through music.
Yeah. What has that experience been like with people, I guess, that are like the closest to you, with family, with friends that have seen you from as a kid to in college to where you're at now?
I guess I can mostly only speak on that with family. A lot of my friends, it's kind of strange, dude. Like, I feel like a lot of my friends from growing up, I don't really talk to so much too often, but everyone in my life is really supportive of what I have going on. My mom has been my biggest supporter always. Like, if it weren't for my mom, bro, there's no way that I would even be, I don't think I would be doing this at all. You know what I mean? She was somebody from the very beginning that's like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. Like, anything that you believe in, you can have it. I think if it weren't for her, there's no shot. So yeah, family has been huge in me just being who I am.
Yeah, that does. Like, when you look at artists or athletes, I feel like the most, like the ones that achieve the dream in some capacity or like get to that level where they're like really doing it, always feel like they have I mean, I feel like 9 times out of 10 it is a mom, but sometimes it's a dad. But I feel like 9 times out of 10 it's like a good mom that like pushes you to get there.
Yeah.
Do you think that like growing up in a smaller town in West Virginia and then approaching something that is so widespread around the world, was that challenging as well, like going to LA and these big cities?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's no music industry where I'm from. There's like barns.
Yeah.
And cows, you know? There's no
there's no like let's go make a song in the back.
Yeah. It felt impossible, bro. It felt like I was at the bottom of Mount Everest with a broken leg. Like, how am I going to do this? I still don't even know how it all happened. Like, I think in a lot of ways I got lucky. I think a lot of ways I worked really, really hard at something and some chips fell the right way for me. Just, you know, maybe I met this right person and then they introduced me to somebody. But when I first started off, dude, there was no connection to anything. Like, it's not like my uncle works for the record labels here,
right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I forget originally what your question was. Sorry, I was kind of rambling there. But yeah, it can feel a little overwhelming, feeling like even if I'm incredibly great at music, is where I'm from putting any sort of impairment on me making it. I think early on maybe there could be some of that, but nowadays with social media, I think you can become famous from your bedroom as long as you have an iPhone and Wi-Fi, you know.
Yeah.
Being in the cities, I guess, is a little bit, I had to figure out driving in a city, you know what I mean? When I moved to LA, that was a little bit wild and just like a change of scenery, you know what I mean? But it's also inspiring, you know, being around something fresh, being around something new. It's equal parts inspiring and challenging, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, where I was going to go from that, we have an important math question here. So, 2019, the artist Mike Stud drops a song called Simple Things with an artist by the name of 30. And then fast forward to 2022, the day after my birthday, the first Yokum song I hear called Burn featuring 30 on it.
Yep.
And then 2 years after that, Gretzky comes out.
Yep.
Did you know that Gretzky was coming out when Burn dropped, or what was the process of that whole journey like on your side of things?
Yeah, Gretzky wasn't even a thought in my mind at that point. No, that the 30 connection kind of came through my buddy Dylan Reese, who I was living with at the time. He knew 30 somehow. I actually don't know what their relationship was, but I made that song Burn. I had an open verse for it, and I was kind of talking to him just like, yo, I'm trying to get a feature on this. I don't really know who. Who do you think would sound good on this? Like, obviously someone that's not like Chris Brown level famous, someone I can like reach, but like bigger than me. I'm trying to like get new eyes on my music, and that was one of the people that he was like, maybe we should hit up 30. Maybe we should see if he's in. And it just worked out, you know. Dylan kind of introduced us to each other, and we made that song happen. But no, at the time, there was no thought about Gretzky. I was in a whole different headspace at that time. Yeah.
Because it was, I didn't realize that till, I think before your Chicago show. I was like, wait, the first Adam song that I found was by the same guy. And I knew Mike before I knew the Simple Things song with 30. But it was just funny that like you both worked with 30.
Yeah.
I only knew because you guys were, it was just like a funny coincidence.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't realize that Mike worked with 30 until after I dropped that song. Yeah, I don't even think I knew about that until way, way, way later down the road. So
how did Gretzky come to be?
Gretzky came to be, so I moved out of LA because I wanted to go home. And I wanted to kind of, like I said earlier, chase things that were a little more important to my life, simple things in life. And I didn't want to move back to West Virginia because for some reason that to me felt like failure. Like I felt like I went out in the world and I moved to LA and I tried to make it work. And if I moved back home to West Virginia, I failed, right?
Yeah.
So my homie lives in Pittsburgh. He works at this solar company, really successful. I'm broke at the time. I went completely broke in LA. And he was like, yo, move to Pittsburgh. I can get you a job at this solar company. We'll get you financially good. And you can still live in a city. Like there's some music stuff going on here. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna move to Pittsburgh. So me and a couple friends got a house. And I made the demo to Gretzky when I had like $30 in my bank account and I was 2 or 3 months late on rent, like dead broke. And honestly, when I first made it, it was kind of like, I don't want to say a throwaway, but it wasn't a song that I even thought I was going to put out. And I remember at the time I had went like 2 weeks without posting anything on Instagram, and I was like, all right, I should probably make some content. Like I should probably post something. So me and my homie Gabriel filmed just a snippet to that song, and I just posted it up because I thought that I was like, I should be posting something on Instagram. And then someone who I worked with at that solar company, my buddy Jared, was a fan of Mike's music, and he DM'd the snippet to Mike and was just like, yo, you should get on this. And Mike saw it and was like, who is this? Like, this shit is hard. And yeah, he just rocked with the song off the love of the music. We also had no connections.
That's crazy.
I didn't know him at all. He didn't know me at all. And yeah, he just liked the song, and that was how it came about. And then obviously since then, we became closer and worked on more music together and all that. But that's really the story of how Gretzky came to be. Yeah.
That's super cool though, because I feel like that's like the highest honor as an artist, is that some cool artist just like heard your shit from somebody else and was like, this is dope, I want to get on this. Like you didn't have to be like, hey, listen to this, or hey, check this out. It was just like, no, it's just a good song, I want to figure out what I can do with this. That's
absolutely. It's like, I didn't I've never been someone who was like the networking guy where it's like he just knows everybody and he's super plugged in. Never been that guy coming from West Virginia.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to be that guy.
Yeah, I've never been able to be that guy. So my focus has always just been, I'm going to try to make really good music. And so that was a really kind of like reassuring moment of like, okay, the music is good. I'm not crazy here, So yeah, I've always thought that was that was pretty special too, that didn't come about through like a web of connections or something. It was just off the love of the music, and it honestly gave me a really big appreciation for who he is as a guy too, being as successful he is. I mean, I think I had maybe 1,000 monthly listeners, maybe a couple thousand, I don't know what it was, but it gave me a good appreciation for just making art for the love of the art.
I want to touch on this especially because you kind of talked about this earlier when making music with an artist. You talked about, like making music with Ollie, who's your bro, and that like connection piece. I think that's the coolest thing when comparing Gretzky to new stuff you've done with Mike, like the song you guys just put out. Mm. You like feel that cohesiveness on that song. Like Gretzky, it's not a bad like, oh, the vibe doesn't fit the song when Mike jumps on it, but it just feels like a verse on a song. Whereas like the song you guys put out feels like it's both you guys together, like working. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, agreed.
Did you have like special feelings about that song coming out, or was that just kind of another organic experience, or were you like, this is for Mike when you made it?
I wouldn't say it was like for Mike when I made it, but I know after I made it, it was definitely like, damn, Mike would snap on this, and I made it a long time ago. I want to say I made it maybe a year ago, and sent it over to him pretty early, and he hit me back and said he loved it, and he's just busy. He was busy through the summer touring and all that shit, so we just weren't able to make it happen until way later. But yeah, I think I knew when I made it that like he would snap on it. So yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. Like when you were first making Evergreen, and you said this about Water Your Roots, you have all the same features, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because it is Ollie, Joseph, V Wills, Mike, and you're like, I'm gonna like, and now they're all like homies and like people you just hang out with, and that's like.
And Huey Mack. We can't leave my
Huey Mack. I'm sorry. We cannot leave Joey off the. We can't leave Huey Mack off the.
All good. I just wanted to throw that out.
He's an OG. He's an OG. We can't.
Sorry. What were you gonna say though?
No, I just think that's cool. Like the way that the world works in that. Like if you were making Evergreen and like just the opportunity of working with these artists that make good music, it feels so special in the moment. You would never even like be like, oh, we're gonna do this again. Like the next go around. Like you're just treating it as this one moment, and then it's like the product you guys made was so good and felt so authentic that you guys are like, let's do it again in like a different way, which is super cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, dude, you never really know when you're working with somebody that it could be the last time that you're working with them. Not even on some dark like someone could die. That's not what I mean by it. I just mean like everyone goes in, I could wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm actually really inspired by pop punk and I want to like make pop punk, and so like probably none of those guys would be like, let's go yeah, and so I think at any time that you can work with another artist, it's a special thing, and I just feel grateful and lucky to be doing it with those group of guys as well. They're all people who I'm a fan of their music first. Before I'm a collaborator with them, I'm a fan of their music. I had V Wills and Mike and Huey. Ollie, I didn't find out about. I'm being honest, I didn't find out about Ollie until later. Sorry, Ollie. Now I feel like a dickhead saying that. I love Ollie to death. V Wills, Mike, and Huey, I was a fan of their music early on. And I had their songs in my library when I was a college kid dreaming about doing things one day. So I feel very grateful and very lucky to be making music with all those fellas.
Was that like stressful at first when like the opportunities with V Wills and Mike came about, and Huey, just like as someone who's like, dang, I've been listening to these guys for a while, like I hope they like me and I hope they like my stuff, or like what was those feelings like?
A little bit yes, but mostly no. I think I'm a humble guy. I've always had a bit of delusional belief that like any success that comes my way, I feel like like I'm meant for that. Like any blessings that come my way, I don't feel like what's it called? Imposter syndrome, where like I don't think I belong here. I've always felt like I've worked really hard at this and it's something I really care about. So when good things come my way, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. I try to feel like I deserve the things I have. You know what I mean? Not in like a cocky way, but just I guess a self-confidence way. And so yeah, I guess you want people to like you, but I try not to put too much stock into that to where it like bothers me or it's something that I like toss and turn about. Ultimately, I think what I'm trying to say is I try not to let anybody else have control over my emotions. And when you worry about what people think about you and how people feel about you, that means you have control of how I feel. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I try not to do that with anybody, but I felt lucky and I felt grateful and I just felt happy that all that was happening. Yeah.
Was that epiphany or that like lifestyle, was that more like after college, or when did you come into that? Because I feel like it's interesting to me, because I feel like when I was finishing up college, I came up with this idea I call the blueprint, and it's just like the life blueprint, where I was like, I'm gonna pick 3 things that are like the most important to me, and that's what I'm gonna put my time and energy into. And then like how you feel about me as an outsider, like that can't take away from how I feel about me. Like obviously like take criticism and all that, but at the same time like take accountability for what you can control. But at the end of the day, like if it's out of your control, like you can't worry and like stress over it, because it's other people's opinions, other people's thoughts.
Yeah.
Was that something that was after college, or when did that like piece of your life kind of come into place?
Yeah, around the same time when I moved out of LA and went back to Pittsburgh and just kind of had a big like waking up to just who I wanted to be. Yeah, I think those things all kind of came around the same time, you know. Just having a self-confidence in like who you are and falling in love with who you are. I think all that came around the same time, yeah.
Yeah. In addition to the music, something that you've done really well is make really good merch.
Hey, thank you.
From day one. This is one of the hats for Gretzky that came out. Super great bill on it. Super good design. Super durable hat. A lot of artists, when they first start making something, it's like no one has money when they start making it. So it's really hard to make a high quality stuff.
Yeah.
What led you to decide that you just, I don't want to say don't care sounds bad, but like you'd be like, I want to like, I care enough about the quality of it that I don't care necessarily about like the profit like starting out. Like I'm going to buy high quality and like create like a good base with everything, even when that can be scary as an artist when you're starting to merch drop.
Well, I will say it wasn't always like that. The first merch that I made back in college was ass. You know? So I did learn the hard way.
Yeah.
I definitely learned the hard way. I mean, I had these shirts, just like plain like black shirts with like the AY logo that was like printed on them. And it was the first piece of merch I ever made, and I made like 100 of these shirts, and I think I sold like 10 of them. So I had like 90 shirts.
90 shirts.
Just sitting in my house. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with all these shirts? You know? So I learned the hard way that if you're not a massively famous artist, people are only going to buy your merch if they genuinely like it. Like, Sabrina Carpenter is famous enough to just throw her face on a shirt and people will buy it because
Sabrina Carpenter.
It's Sabrina Carpenter. Adam Yokum isn't at that level.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. I think that I'll.
If we put Adam Yokum's face on it and said Noah Kahan on it, we might get by with it. No.
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, I just am not famous enough that like you can just slap whatever on a shirt and they're gonna sell.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta put time and effort into it. You gotta make it a good product, and I learned that early on by doing it the wrong way. So by the time it came time to make stuff like this, I kind of already knew that it's not about making merch for me. It's not about the profit. I don't make a ton of money on my merch because I spend so much money to make it a high quality. To me, it's about building that brand recognition that when you get a piece of my merch, it's going to be high quality clothing. Because as you scale how much merch you're making, you can get it made for cheaper, you know? Mm-hmm. So if I am spending a lot of money to make high quality pieces right now, and I'm not massive where I'm like selling a shit ton of it, I'm not making a ton of money, but when the career scales, you can still make high quality, but you're doing it at such a volume that the price per piece comes down and the money makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know? But my goal is always just high quality things. I think word spreads like that too. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? People have found my music through the merch. Like I have friends that like wear my hats and fans that wear the hats, and I've had people DM me before and just be like, "Yo, I saw someone wearing your hat," and I asked them where they got it from, and that's how I discovered you. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of ways it's beneficial. There's so many ways it's beneficial, but quality over quantity for merch every day of the week.
No, and I think something that you crush really well, especially with the hats, is the brand recognition on the front, and then there's usually some words on the side, whether it's water your roots or side of my head and it all came true from Gretzky on this one. Like, because it's something like, because your lyrics have, you know, virtues in them or like things that are applicable to most people's lives, hopefully, you know. I think it's something that's relatable to everyone, and then like you also have like the association with your brand with it, which it's
Yeah.
cohesive and it works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We have a project coming out. What is, when you look at 2026, you have a tour, you have a project, you just finished the tour, you have a co-project with Ollie. What excites you the most for 2026?
Just to keep doing it, man. Just to be here, you know? I try not to set any goals that are like metric based or like in 2026 I'm going to blow up. You know, all my goals are things that I can control, you know? Just to keep doing it, and I want to keep doing it with more volume and with more intention, and I think everything has been continuously scaling up for me, you know. The quality of things, the intention of things, just my what's the word I'm looking for here? You know, I feel like I'm painting with a more vivid image the more and more I do it. You know, I think early on in like the early days of Evergreen, like I was still even like figuring out what I was doing. All I knew is that like this stuff sounded good to me and I was inspired by it. But now I feel very intentional with the music, and everything I'm doing is like I want these guitars and these drums, and I want my merch to feel like this, and I feel like I have a full kind of picture of what I'm trying to achieve, and I'm just excited to keep doing it, man. I'm excited to keep doing it and see where it goes, you know. I guess if it goes up or it goes down, it doesn't really matter to me. I feel like my inner child has already won, you know. Like even when you were just saying that, you're dropping an album, you're touring, you're making merch. Like I was sitting here like, holy fuck.
Yeah, you're a busy guy.
I kind of did it, right?
Yeah.
Like I kind of did it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me if I like get more successful or not. It doesn't really matter. I feel really happy just to keep doing it.
Was there a specific moment where you felt like that you started to have that feeling, or like a specific song or a specific point on tour where like like where you were, obviously any point, I think, where this goes for any artist, any time that you go and you pursue something that you love, you already made it. But I mean a point where you were like almost like I was right and I'm like I'm good, like I did this and I'm here. Not to say that you don't want more, but say that like you're content with like achieving a piece where you're like, I did it.
Yeah. I don't know if there was one specific moment. I think a culmination of moments over the last year or two kind of built that feeling up in me. Touring is a big one. The fact that you can go to a city that you've never been to and people show up to a building to sing your songs with you is mind-blowing to me every single time. Like that never ceases to blow my mind. And I think the couple tours that I've done since dropping Evergreen and through the rollout of Water Your Roots has really built that feeling of me of like, man, I did the things that I set out to do as a kid. Like, this is it for me. I'm not saying this is it for me like I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is all it takes for me to feel just satisfied with where I am in life. You know, obviously I'm working really, really hard to keep growing my career. I'm working really, really hard to scale the business of the merch and everything I have going on. But just like, a feeling of gratefulness. I think it's came little by little, just through shows and music and talking to fans and people saying, this song that you dropped changed my life, or I was going through a really hard time and this helped me get through it. A culmination of all those things has led me to feel like, you know, really just grateful and content with what I have.
Is it hard? I'm thinking about right now, like just to backtrack and tell you like the thoughts that are in my head. I'm thinking about like the first time you played Water Your Roots in Chicago, knowing that you have this album on the way, and this song that's gonna like be like the push of the album, and you know how good it is, and you know how you're excited about this song, but is there like, I don't want to say like anxiousness or like holding something like that in where you're like, this is like really, really big and I want everyone to hear it right now, but to like do a proper rollout and release it proper, like, is that difficult as an artist? Because I feel like once you make something and you believe in it so much, it has to be difficult to just sit on it. It's the wrong word, because you're not sitting on it, you're gradually putting it out and releasing a project. But to like know that you have these pieces of art that you've put your energy into and like hold on to them, is that difficult?
A little bit. I mean, I definitely get a feeling of like when I make a song, I want everyone to hear it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? But I know that if I actually approach it that way, like probably it won't be received the way that I want it to. I think doing a proper like rollout and visuals, music video, talking about the song, performing it, I think it gives you a chance to present it to people in a good way. I didn't really do too much of that with Water Your Roots. I want to say before that Chicago show, I actually just made Water Your Roots like not too long before that, maybe 2 months before that I made it. So I didn't feel like I was sitting on it for like a terribly long time. I mean, there's a couple songs that I've put out, like the Doing Me joint with Huey. I think I had that in the vault for like almost 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So 2 months was like, yeah. And you know, something that you said was like, oh, when you're making it and you're like, you know, this is a big song or whatever. I didn't know it was a big song.
Oh, really?
No, the fans decide that. Like, I don't decide. I can think some songs that I've dropped, I've been like, this is gonna be the biggest song in my catalog, and it's not. And there's other songs where I'm like, this song, I love this song, but I don't think it's like the favorite one I made. And that's the one that everyone's like running up through the roof. So, I mean, I can have opinions on which ones I think are gonna go to the moon and which ones aren't, but ultimately the fans are the ones who decide that. When I played the song for the first time in Chicago, showing it to people, I genuinely had no clue if it was gonna land or not.
Oh, I was like, this is incredible. This is like Adam's best song. Like when you played it live, I was like, and usually like when you're at a show and you hear it live, it's hard to accept a song because you usually can't pick up all the lyrics when it's live as well. So it's hard to like land an unreleased song, I think. So
yeah, that's cool. That makes me happy to hear. Yeah, after we did it, like immediately after the song was over, I remember like looking at Pat and being like,
I think we're good. I think
all right,
I'll be all right.
Yeah. So that was a good feeling. Yeah, Chicago, played it in New York and Nashville as well. Like the people who came to those shows heard it for the first time, and every night on stage I was like, you guys are like the first people to hear this shit. Like, I hope you like it.
Hope you like it.
We'll see. But yeah, dude, it all worked out. Another thing that I've been a little curious about is that both of the title tracks on both the albums
Evergreen, yeah,
were the solo songs for me that kind of took off. I don't know. If there's something
he
to
just
that.
knew. He knew with the project. He said, "This is what
I don't
do."
know if there's something to that, like, but and I knew that those were the title tracks before they even came out. Like, it's not like Water Your Roots had a good moment and then I was like, oh, the album is called Water Your Roots. From the beginning, the album was Water Your Roots, and then I made that song inspired off the concept of the album. So it's a really weird, and same with Evergreen, like it's a really weird coincidence that both the title tracks are the ones that have kind of gone up. I'm trying to figure out if there's something to that. I'm gonna have to start making more title tracks.
Title tracks is like another album. It's just a one-song album. We're going the Russ approach.
I gotta have like 5-song albums where it's just like, just listen to the title track.
Just listen to the title track. We're gonna cook here.
Yeah.
But I do think that I was actually watching a piece of content that was featuring Ryan Winnan. He was talking about how when you make content, the goal of it shouldn't be for it to go viral. And I think that that's the same thing as songs, because there's songs that I really like, and I don't know if I would like them as much if they were like the main song. Like I think of your song Nauseous, and I think that's like a really good album song that's like deep, or like Don't Take Her Home, are like good like deep songs that I love to listen to. But if I heard them all the time, it might like it almost feels like a special intimate song when it's not the viral song. But if it was the viral song, it might take away from the intimacy of the song. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the album cuts are important to me. I know we're in an era right now of like singles. Like no one listens to albums, which there's definitely a lot of truth to that. Not taken away from that. I put out most of the Water Your Roots album through singles, but not all of it. I think there's 4 or 5 songs that on the album release day is the first time those songs are going to be out, because I still think there's magic to the listening experience of an album top to bottom. And there's songs like, as a fan of music, some of my favorite artists, some of my favorite songs of theirs are deep cuts in the lower half of the album that you just kind of discover like, whoa, like what is this? It's not the like radio hits or the singles or whatever it is. It's the deep cuts. And yeah, dude. So thanks for saying that. I feel the same way, that the deep cuts are like really important.
No, I think the same thing with Mike. Like Same Guy off the Lows is one of my favorite songs, and that's like one that doesn't get played at shows. But if like you listen to the Lows like the whole way through, you know that song. Like you know, like
Yep. Absolutely.
So you've collaborated with a good amount of artists, but also do a lot of stuff on your own. Is there artists that you haven't worked yet that you're like, yeah, I don't want to like send stuff to them right now, but like if it were to work out in alignment, this would be really cool to happen?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of those. Some of them feel like within reach, like I could get a song to them. Some of them, you know, I don't have any clue how I get a hold of them. Like, for example, John Bellion. Love his music. Incredible songwriter. Incredible producer. Everything. I don't know how the hell I'd get a hold of John Bellion. You know?
Yeah, exactly. But if it's meant to be, maybe it'll happen.
Yeah. There's guys like that are on my bucket list of like, damn, I'd love to work with him. Dominic Fike.
Yeah.
Would love to work with him. Russ. Would love to work with him. Handful of people. Trying to think of people that are kind of in like similar circles. Graham is someone I'd love to have a song with. Henrik, I really love his music. Trying to think. There's definitely a few guys that I have some mutual connections to and really love their music and would love to make some songs with. I know there's some slipping my mind, but yeah, there's a few people on my bucket list of like would love to work with them. Yeah.
What goes into feeling like it's a right song to work with somebody for you? Is it because I feel like you've had different situations where, like you said, you know, the song got sent to Mike, he felt it was good. The connection with Ollie, like, is there a process you have now for that, or is it just kind of like wake up today, see what happens, and we go with it?
Well, the first thing is that I'm not working with any artist who I don't genuinely love their music. Most artists who I'm like aspiring to work with and have in the past, I've already been a fan of their music and appreciate what they make. So I think that just gives me a good gauge of like, you know, when I make a song, could I hear them on it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, is this a song? And you never really get that with an artist that you're not too crazy familiar with, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of an example here. Like I don't know, name an artist. Name a random artist.
Jessie Murph.
Okay, yeah. Like I'm not going to make a song and be like Jessie Murph would crush this because I don't listen to her music.
Yeah.
That's not a shot at her.
I tried to pick something really
that's a great example. Yeah. I'm never going to make a song and be like, I got to get her on this just because I'm not even familiar with her music. It's not because it's not out of a hateful thing. I just I'm not familiar with what she makes. So, I think that is the process. Like I'm just making music all the time, and every now and then you stumble upon that song that you made where you go, oh, you know who would also kind of sound good on this? And then you get to thinking like, how can I get a hold of them? Can I send them this song? You know,
See what happens.
See what happens, and then maybe they like it, maybe they don't. But I'd say that's the process of like, how do you find the right song for an artist? I think it's just being a fan of their music, and through that, knowing what they would like.
You grinded for a very long time before you got to this point. What is one thing you wish you could do differently about the way that you got to where you're at in music, and one thing that you're really proud of?
I don't know. That's a tough one because I feel like everything that I did led to who I am and what's going on now. So I guess I'm gonna say the go-to answer of I don't think I would do anything differently. You know, even though things were less than ideal at times, and if I could go back knowing what I knew now, I would do a ton of shit differently.
Yeah.
But like in general, I'm happy about the journey of it all. I'm happy about the things that I learned the hard way, because without doing that, the current version of me wouldn't exist, you know? So if I could actually go back and change something, I just wouldn't. But let's say step away from that philosophical answer. You know, if I could go back, I would chase things that are honest to me. I would put more intention towards making good music early on than trying to get into social groups. I would allow people to help me that knew more than me. I think a lot of times artists starting off, myself included, always have a mindset of like just overinflated ego, where everything that they do is just God's gift to earth and it's just the best idea. And I think that a lot of artists, me included, this is not me, I'm not like talking down on anybody. A lot of artists have a hard time accepting opinions from other people. Like, if I made a hat and I showed it to somebody who really knows a lot about design and they work in merchandise, and I showed them the hat and they go, nah, this is not really good, you gotta change this like looks bad. You gotta be able to know that's an experienced person. Maybe their advice like has some weight. Maybe I should rethink this. Like, let me go back and change my tastes on this a little bit. Whereas early on, like, I would get feedback like that and be like, oh, that guy, fuck that guy, man. You know what I mean? So I learned a lot in music by listening to people that knew more than me and being a sponge of information. Learned a lot of things by just dropping my ego, being like, that guy knows more than me about this. Let me listen and learn, you know? So that's a big thing I would do differently if I could go back and just start doing things the right way earlier. What am I really proud of and what am I happy of? What am I happy about at this point? That I'm being intentional with the music, you know? That's something that I'm really, really stoked on creatively, is that I just know what I'm doing. Like, when I go into the studio, I know what I'm looking for. I know I want the drums to sound like this. I know how I want the guitars to be. Before, it was just like, I don't know, let's find a beat that's cool and just like write something, you know?
Yeah.
When you have a clear direction, it's easier to get where you're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm driving from Nashville to Pittsburgh, I don't want to just be like, I don't know, this road feels right. Let's go this way. I want to have the fucking map.
I need the map to get there, yeah.
Now when I'm making music, I feel like I have the map. I feel like I know where I'm going. I'm getting there quicker, easier. I'm able to do it with more depth. So that's something, just creatively making music, I'm really, really happy about currently.
I love that. Last question. We're in a day and age where everyone wants to make stuff as fast as you can to get it out as fast as you can, which I feel like personally takes away a lot of the authenticity of it and waters down the creative design of a lot of things. How would you approach it if a younger sibling or a cousin or a friend wanted to start an artistic journey in 2026?
What would my advice be to them? Or, just do it. Yeah. Like Nike said,
Just do it.
Just do it. Nah. Yeah, dude, the whole speed thing and the whole, like, the era of content, and you have to post 3 times a day and on TikTok, and it all seems like bullshit to me, honestly. Like, I get it, but it's just not for me. I'm so focused on making a high quality of things that I stop thinking about the output of things as far as speed and quantity. I don't give a shit if I drop 35 songs a year if they're ass.
Yeah. No one else does either, right?
No one else does either. Yeah. I'd rather drop 10 songs a year and they're dimes because I wasn't worried about my output. Which ideally I think you should try to have both. If you can have high quality and output, that's a sweet spot. A lot of artists starting off, me included, just can't. Or maybe they're... And when I say they can't, I don't mean they forever can't, like they don't have the ability to. I'm just saying they're working towards that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that an early on direction should be quality over quantity. There's no need to pump out 35 songs a year if you're trying to get better at making music. Maybe make more than, like, make a shit ton of music. Make all the music you can make. If you're trying to get better, be in the studio every day. Write songs as much as you can. But your focus should be on making better music. It shouldn't just be how much music can I put out, is what I'm trying to say. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Adam Yokum, for taking time out of your day. This is a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me here. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, no, this was honestly great. I loved it.
Appreciate you, brother.